The silence in the Titans' medical room was shattered by a single phone call that changed the trajectory of an entire season, leaving fans holding their breath in collective terror. For a moment, the unthinkable seemed to be unfolding as news leaked that the club's $10 million man, Tino Fa'asuamaleaui, had been rushed back into surgery just as the 2026 preseason was reaching its peak intensity. After enduring the agony of a complete knee reconstruction that stole his 2024 campaign and fighting through a grueling MCL recovery in late 2025, the sight of Tino back under the knife sent shockwaves through the Gold Coast. The air was thick with the scent of a potential disaster, a career-altering setback that could have buried the Titans' hopes before the first whistle of the new year even sounded. But as the doors of the operating theatre swung open, the reality of the situation took a sharp, unexpected turn that left the NRL world stunned. This wasn't the end of a dynasty, it was the clinical precision of a tactical strike designed to ensure the monster of the midfield returns more dangerous than ever before. Stay tuned to all sports updates for the pulse of the game. Subscribe now so you never miss a beat of the breaking news. The fear that gripped the club was rooted in the memory of Tino hobbling off the field against the Bulldogs in 2024, a moment that haunted every training session since his return. When he reported discomfort in that same right knee following Australia's dominant Ashes tour of England, the medical staff knew they couldn't afford a single second of hesitation or a millimetre of error. They weren't looking at a fresh rupture or a catastrophic failure of the previous repair, but rather a stubborn piece of debris that was threatening to derail his explosive power. Coach Josh Hannery found himself standing before a swarm of cameras, tasked with explaining why the most expensive asset in the club's history was once again sidelined during the most critical month of preparation. The tension in the press room was palpable, with every journalist waiting for the words that would confirm a season-long absence, yet Hannery remained remarkably composed. He revealed that the surgery was a clean-out procedure, a minor intervention meant to scrub away the lingering ghosts of past battles and guarantee that Tino's engine would run at maximum capacity for the long road ahead. The narrative of Tino's recovery has been one of relentless discipline and a refusal to accept anything less than perfection in his physical state. After his initial ACL surgery, he didn't just sit in a gym on the Gold Coast, he sought out the world's most elite specialists, including the legendary Bill Knowles in Philadelphia. This latest surgical chapter was simply the final polish on a machine that has been rebuilt from the ground up to withstand the brutal coliseums of the modern NRL landscape. Every session he missed in the moon boot during those dark months of 2024 served as fuel for this current fire, driving him to obsess over every detail of his biomechanics. The clean-out was a calculated gamble, a choice to sacrifice a few weeks of January training to prevent a mid-season collapse that would have been far more devastating. It demonstrates a shift in the Titans' philosophy, moving away from the desperate play through the pain mentality and toward a long-term strategy of sustainable dominance for their captain. Despite the clinical success of the procedure, the timing remains a delicate tightrope walk for a team that has struggled to find its identity without its spiritual leader on the field. The Gold Coast faithful have seen too many false dawns, and the sight of Tino Fa'asuamaleaui heading to the Perth Bears has only added a layer of emotional complexity to Tino's own long-term commitment. He is currently entering a phase of his 10-year contract where the results must start to match the massive investment, and he knows the weight of an entire city sits squarely on his broad shoulders. The surgery wasn't just about removing cartilage, it was about removing doubt, ensuring that when he charges into a defensive line in round 1, there is no voice in the back of his mind telling him to hold back. He has spent more time in rehabilitation than he has in the winner's circle lately, and that imbalance is something he is clearly desperate to correct with a statement performance. All Sports Updates is your home for every hit and every headline. Make sure to like and follow for the fastest sports news on the web. The recovery timeline is now a race against the clock, with the season opening matches looming large and the expectation for Tino to be the cornerstone of the forward pack higher than ever. Hannery has insisted that the skipper is already back in full training mode, a recovery speed that defies standard medical expectations and speaks to the freakish athleticism of the man known as Titan Tino. He is expected to complete a solid month of high-intensity contact work before the preseason trials begin, providing the team with the psychological boost they so desperately need. The presence of a fully fit Tino transforms the Titans from a mid-table uncertainty into a genuine threat, as his ability to win the ruck and generate post-contact meters is virtually unmatched in the competition. However, the risk of a secondary complication remains the silent predator lurking in the shadows of the training facility, a reality the coaching staff is managing with extreme caution. They are tracking every kilometer run and every watt produced in the gym to ensure he doesn't peak too early or stress the joint beyond its current limits. There is a deeper story here about the evolution of a leader who has had to learn the game from the sidelines, watching his teammates struggle through a wooden spoon-threatened season while he was powerless to intervene. Tino has spoken openly about the blessing in disguise that his time off provided, allowing him to analyze the tactical deficiencies of the Titans' defensive structures with the eye of a coach. This off-season surgery was his final act of maintenance before stepping back into the role of the enforcer, a role he believes he can now play with more intelligence than raw aggression. He has watched how the great leaders of the game manage their bodies, and this proactive approach to his knee health is a clear sign of a maturing athlete who understands that availability is just as important as ability. The Titans' medical team has been working in tandem with external specialists to create a bulletproof protocol that will hopefully end the cycle of injury news that has plagued his recent career. The broader implications for the NIL ladder are significant, as a healthy Tino Fa'asuamaleaui fundamentally changes the power dynamics of the middle of the field for every opponent they face. If he hits the ground running in round 1, the Gold Coast becomes a nightmare matchup for even the most disciplined defensive units like the Panthers or the Storm. His return also eases the pressure on the Titans' playmakers, who have often been forced to play behind a receding gain line in his absence, struggling to find the space required to execute their attacking sets. The surgery was a reset button, a way to clear the deck and start the 2026 season with a clean bill of health and a clear mind. It sends a message to the rest of the league that the Titans are no longer willing to leave their success to chance or hope that a niggling injury simply goes away on its own. They are taking control of their destiny, starting with the most important knee in the NIL today. As we look toward the opening round, the narrative has shifted from one of crisis to one of calculated preparation, with Tino positioned as the protagonist in a redemption story that has been 2 years in the making. The surprise surgery wasn't a setback, it was the final hurdle in a marathon of resilience that has tested the captain's mental fortitude to its absolute breaking point. The Titans have provided the big update the fans needed, but the true update will be written in the sweat and dirt of the opening 40 minutes of his first game back. The NIL world is watching, waiting to see if the minor clean-out will indeed yield the major results the Gold Coast is banking on to save their season. One thing is certain: when Tino Fa'asuamaleaui steps back onto the grass, he won't be looking back at the surgeries of the past, but ahead at the legacy he still intends to build. The giant is awake, the knee is clean, and the hunt for a premiership on the coast is officially back on. Thanks for watching All Sports Updates. We are your #1 source for everything sports, so hit that notification bell to stay informed. Would you like me to analyze the Titans' full round 1 roster now?